Along the banks of the Guadalupe River now, it's at times difficult to know what you're even looking at. The violence of the flooding smacks more of what you'd expect from a hurricane. The destruction is monumental. The loss, though, is a deeply personal thing, rooted in these riverside Texan neighborhoods. Place names like Kerrville, Hunt, Ingram, Comfort. And people like Julian Ryan. In the early hours of Friday morning, the water suddenly started pouring into his home. Inside was Julian, his mother, his fiancée, and their 3 children.
It just started pouring in. We had to fight the door to get it closed just so that too much didn't come in. And we ran back to the room and we started calling 911.
Julian had to smash a window so that they could get out onto the roof, but fatally injured himself while saving his family.
It severed his artery in his arm, almost cut it clean off. About 6 o'clock, my husband was dead. He had lost all of it, all his blood. He looked at me and the kids and my mother-in-law and he was like, "Sorry, I'm not gonna make it, I love y'all."
At least 85 people are now confirmed dead as a result of the flooding. At least 27 of them were young people or staff attending the Camp Mystic Girls Christian Summer Camp. It was run by Dick Eastland, who is survived by his wife. His grandson posted this picture online, said his grandfather, a devout Christian, also lost his life trying to rescue some of the children under his care.
The children, the little girls who were lost at Camp Mystic. That's every parent's nightmare. Every mom and dad. Last week, we were picking up our daughter from camp here in Hunt.
Although the focus has understandably been on the camp, people were holidaying all along the river for the 4th of July weekend. Blair and Brooke Harbour, 13 and 11, for example, were in a cabin with their grandparents. According to a social media post by their aunt, when the girls' bodies were found 15 miles downriver, they were holding hands. Their grandparents are still missing. Attention is now also turning to the policy choices made in recent years and whether they contributed to the death toll or not. Most of the dead were in a single county in the central Texas area known as Flash Flood Alley. Kerr County is in the Texas Hill Country. The Guadalupe runs through it. This drone footage shows emergency services at work in the region over the weekend. In 2017, officials here contemplated installing a new, more sophisticated flood warning system, but it was rejected as being too expensive. It's also being reported that senior roles at the forecasting agency, the National Weather Service, have not been filled as a result of Donald Trump's cost savings at federal agencies, something he pushed back against when asked.
Are you investigating whether some of the cuts to the federal government left key vacancies at the National Weather Service or in the emergency coordination?
No, they did not. They did. I'll tell you, if you look at that, what a situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch.
More storms are expected in the region over the next 48 hours. Over the years to come, difficult conversations forecast in the US about where climate change and politics collide.
The devastating floods in Texas. 91 people are so far confirmed to have died, while dozens more are still missing, with warnings of more storms on the way. The White House said President Trump was tentatively scheduled to visit the scene on Friday, as long as it did not disrupt relief efforts. Well, joining me now is the Texas Congressman Randy Weber. Randy, thank you very much for joining us. Senator Cruz described this as every parent's nightmare, what happened at Camp Mystic. These communities, the state of Texas, the nation are grieving right now. How would you sum up the mood of Texas?
Well, thank you, Asha, for having me on, and thank you for making this news available so that people can be informed. It's very somber in Texas. Having grown up in Texas for 72 years, and lived in the same area around Galveston where we have hurricanes, you normally get 3 or 4 days notice of a hurricane. Unfortunately, and I've been to Kerrville, we're campers, we've been there with our trailer and our grandkids. The river there, they don't get a lot of notice, and as you probably know from all the facts coming out, the notices came out at 1:30 to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Everybody was asleep. I've been to the Guadalupe River. It's normally peaceful. It's a great draw for, people to come there and vacation, so to speak, or camp. It's so sad that, we've lost so many Texans, as you pointed out, 91 so far. And I'm sure the count's probably going to rise. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Of
Go
course, the
ahead.
focus has, of course, been on Camp Mystic in that area that you say that you have been to. What more do you know about that particular area and whether people are likely to be rescued now?
Well, it's very hilly, very rocky, very dry, and it's very unusual for them to get that kind of flood. As I pointed out, have hurricanes where 192 people died during Hurricane Ike in 2008 on the Gulf Coast of Texas. It's extreme, and they had a lot of forewarning. Those folks there didn't have a lot of forewarning. It's hilly, it's hill country, it's rocky. As you know, campgrounds where they had a lot of those young kids there with the mentors trying to learn. And so yes, there's going to be more rain to say it's on the way. And so we just want everybody to be forewarned, to be confident, pray for those people, those families that have lost kids and loved ones. And we will, actually, I was in the state legislature for 4 years. So I developed a relationship with TDEM, Texas Department of Emergency Management. I've been checking with them throughout this time. And it just breaks your heart that all of this, death and destruction is going on.
But there are questions, though, and there is anger from some people that there weren't the warnings in place. Do you think that that is something that needs to be looked into? You say these areas are remote. I've been to camps like that. They are remote. Kids won't have their phones. So shouldn't this have been addressed, and will it be addressed in the future?
Well, will it be addressed as a $64 question? Because they can have sirens. And actually, I understand by going through all this that the Texas legislature this past session has been talking about some emergency sirens. Some people say, well, there wasn't enough people in the National Weather Service staffed to keep up with this, but they normally have 3 people there, I understand, in Austin, in the Austin, San Antonio area. And that night they had 5 people. So could they come out with a siren system? Is this something that the camps, for example, would instill? I think you're going to see some changes. Maybe they'll put them in, and there won't necessarily be a next time.
Do you think there's been criticism of President Trump and his response? Do you think that he'll get a welcome reception when he's likely to come on Friday?
Well, he will. He will get a welcome reception if he comes on Friday. The first hurricane that I got to meet President Trump was in 2017, Hurricane Harvey in Orange County, Texas, which is part of the Gulf Coast which is my district now. And so nobody can predict with any degree of certainty how much damage, death, and destruction there's going to be. We can get a warning system put in place, Lord willing. Texas will embark upon that process. And I don't think President Trump, there may be some detractors because they don't like President Trump. But contrary to popular belief, he had no control over, number one, how much it rained. Number two, how the river rose, Aisha, you probably know this, it rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. That happens just so quickly that not enough people could get out.
Sure.
So I think the president will be met with a degree of, I don't know what you want to call it, gratitude that he's there, wish he didn't have to be there, but glad that he's there to show his support.
Okay, Randy Weber, we have to leave it there, but thank you very much for that update there. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Aisha, for getting the news out.